All right, live once again for the 2013 season from Dogleg Brewery. It's You Can't Brew That on Television. Welcome once again to the show. Sorry for the late start tonight. Kyle, Bono, how are you guys?
Great, how are you doing, Rich?
We're 1 minute late. You're giving us a 1 minute late?
We're 1 minute late.
Come on.
Total fail. My bad.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest homebrew show on the internet that happens to air on Thursday nights, broadcasting out of Fort Worth, Texas.
And it also airs on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, it also airs on Tuesday nights. And of all of those shows, this one is the greatest.
I think so.
I think we can definitively say that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is You Can't Brew That on Television. We are your hosts. I am the Reverend Ryan Bono.
I am Kyle Avengers LaPointe.
And we are here as we are every Tuesday to help you bridge the gap between beer snob and frat boy. Kyle, what do we got going on tonight, man?
Well, we're going to talk about a few things. One of the main ones is what you brought over here. It's nice enough, we usually kind of alternate who brings the six-packs, and Bono surprised me, and he brought 2 six-packs, which is great, except for working tomorrow will probably not be as good as it normally is. But we're also going to talk about the day that is Tomorrow Day. All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, we are going to talk a little bit about good old All Hallows Eve. It's a very, very special occasion. We're going to look at some beer-themed costumes you might be able to wear.
We've got maybe a segment we'll talk about, bring back one of our old throwback segments, Oops, I Crap My Brew Day.
Oh,
We can discuss that and what we'll do to rectify our last crapping of a brew day.
And I think we should touch a little bit on the Iron Mash. Because the Iron Mash was this past Sunday. It was an exciting event.
Amazing.
And
I'd say the volunteers there were just exquisite.
The best volunteers they've ever had, especially the recipe taker and,
he was good.
And the raffle guy.
Raffle guy.
Those were the best volunteers they've ever had.
Here's $600.
Nice. Yes, we raised an awful lot of money for the Cap and Hare Homebrew Club this weekend, and everybody had a really good time. I think it was a very successful Iron Mash. But I don't want to talk about that right now because I want to drink some beer.
I want to drink some beer.
So, guys, what we've got going on tonight is we brought in 2 different Oktoberfests from 2 different breweries. And we're going to sort of compare and contrast, look at a little bit of what's going on here. We've got a raw Oktoberfest, which they're calling a Martian-style lager, which is your standard, your traditional Oktoberfest.
And how do you spell Martian?
Martian is M-A-R-Z-E-N.
Martian beer.
Why's that? And then we've got a Sam Adams Oktoberfest, which they're not declaring a style. And no,
I'm pretty
Sam
sure it's
Adams,
Oktoberfest.
Is it a traditional Oktoberfest? Well,
it's a seasonal brew.
I should have gotten 512 or something. Either way, we've got some beer.
And Bono's just talking about little subsects, because it can be an Oktoberfest Märzen or just a traditional Oktoberfest. There's a couple varietals, but really, they're all fairly similar. Are you going to try one and then the other, or do you want to try both?
Yeah, let's try one and then the other.
Let's
We're
do that.
going to start with the Sam Adams. And while we're pouring this, I do want to talk about a fascinating conversation that I had with the lady who works at the beer store. Guys, we talk a lot about the dissemination of craft brewing and a love of craft beer in the world and how it's just really spreading.
It's rampant. I mean, you go everywhere, and I mean, shoot, Market Street now has, I mean, they used to have a really nice beer aisle and beer cooler, and now what they have is like a beer aisle, beer cooler, and the end of that aisle, and the end of another aisle, and a section of another section of the aisle that's got nothing refrigerated. It's all seasonal and big, and it's amazing.
It's definitely been really exciting to watch, especially, I mean, we were kind of on the front end of it. I wouldn't say the very front, but a little bit.
Yeah,
and
like, you know,
I live in the Barrio. Would you agree with that?
Somewhat, yeah.
It's a very heavily Mexican part of town. I also live right next to Little Saigon. You know, it's blue collar. It's a little rough around the edges. So I
like it.
swung
It's a good part of town.
It's a great part of town, but it's not really the part of town you expect to have any beer snob discussions. And I went to the local market to go grab these beers just an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little Mexican girl working at the counter. She's pretty young, and she sees me buying 2 6-packs of Oktoberfest and strikes up a conversation with me about the differences between the various Oktoberfests, specifically discussing the differences in the malts between the real and the Spaten. Yeah,
wow.
she couldn't really articulate what she was saying, but
that sounds like our show.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta have her.
But it was a great conversation. Like we had a really intelligent conversation about the differences between the malts in various Oktoberfest beers, and she was really into it. And that's something that you wouldn't have seen even 2 or 3 years ago. So I thought it was really cool. Kyle, you've been tasting this for a minute or two?
Yeah, I've had a couple sips.
What are you getting out of this?
Definitely not the same blend of hops and malt that you would get in a more traditional Oktoberfest.
Certainly not, no. And Sam Adams, well, they're known for using a lot of traditional styles, though they are known for breaking the mold.
Yeah. Well, and I've had the Oktoberfest in years past, and I've really enjoyed it. They tend to over-hop it. They brought it back a little bit this year.
Yeah, it's still got a little bit more backbone than you traditionally expect from an Oktoberfest.
And more hops. I mean, it's bigger in general.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's more of a hop backbone.
Yes, yeah, hop back. Yeah. But it's still got the right malt profile, whereas before it felt like the hops were just so overbearing. And they use a different style of hops than a lot of the German brewers, I think.
Yeah, I really appreciate Sam Adams as a brewery. Apart from the Boston Lager, I've just never caught on to the Boston Lager for some reason. But their seasonals, I think, are almost as good as it gets. This has always been one of my favorites, as well as their winter. The name of which is escaping me at the moment, but
this is, I mean, it's crystal clear. It's really nice, hard to see in your glass.
Yeah,
but it's crystal clear.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
it's got a really nice color.
It's nice. I believe it's amberish.
Hey Kyle, did you ever get a chance to drink Shiner's Oktoberfest yet? You said, I think last week we were talking, you wanted to get some.
I looked for it at the store and I couldn't find it.
Oh yeah.
I really want to try that.
I had it last year, but I can't recollect what I felt about it. I think I felt like a lot like I do with a lot of Shiner beers, which is that's close to good.
Steve in chat was just saying that he was drinking one of theirs because of the gold they won at GABF, but I wonder if that's making them hard to come by now. I think I had one a month ago, probably before the competition.
All right.
Yeah, we're starting
to get a little chunky there from you, Rich. I don't know. Hopefully it's not that same way from us.
Yeah, let us know if you're having issues hearing us. But
you guys sound good. If you want to turn down your mics, that might help.
Okay.
I can boost on this end.
Do you think that would help?
How's all that, Rich? Crank a few degrees.
You guys sound good to me. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
All right, yeah, we appreciate you guys just standing by as we go through a little bit of this our early season, getting back in the groove type of
Frontier Television, folks.
Yeah, it is Frontier Television. Things don't always go smoothly on the Frontier.
Yeah. Can we have like a Chuck Wagon episode?
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chuck Wagon beer. All right, back to Oktoberfest. Right. Rich, did you bring those?
Very floral hop in this, just big time floral hop.
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely is.
I mean, it's very nice. It just contrasts. It seems like the Oktoberfest and then that much hop. They're fighting each other and they don't want to be balanced, but at the same time, it's pretty tasty.
All right, so when you talk about the floral hops, like what kind of varieties are we probably looking at?
Most of the florals are going to come out of the Czech Republic, and there's some that are pretty floral that are come out of England, but you're talking European, continental varieties that tend to be more floral.
Okay.
But the lower alpha acid means that you need more of the hops to get that bitterness, so sometimes using more of the hops, you get more of the hop flavor. Depends on when they put them in their floral schedule, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of varieties that do that. I prefer some of them over others, but again, I'm not sure exactly what style they are, what type of hops they got in this, or if they even want to tell us on this. But
it's classified.
Well, Rich, did you pull up the beer costumes that we sent you?
I did. You want me to bring that up?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about that. And we're going to try to hear you. You're chunking up kind of bad over on this end, but
awesome. As always, video communication is brought to you for free from Microsoft Skype. Microsoft Skype, it's never been worse.
All right, is this what they're seeing right here?
Sure, could be. I don't know. How do you do that?
Yes.
All right, Rich, since we can't see the video feedback, why don't you tell us which one you're on?
Oh, I'm at the top of the list on...
At the top of the list with beer pong.
Yeah.
All right, so we went ahead and pulled up a top 10 list of beer-related costume ideas since tomorrow is the night.
It is a holiday.
Yeah, so they started with beer pong, which they're definitely swinging towards the frat boy end of things on this.
What was the name of that video game on the Atari? where you'd hit the little paddles?
It was just pong.
So that's not beer pong?
Right, no.
That's different?
I would
that would have been great.
I would rather dress as pong than beer pong.
Okay.
I'll go there.
Okay. I was going to say, I could just carry around an Atari joystick and a beer in the other hand and be beer pong, and I'd be just as happy as putting on that silly little cup.
Yeah, that's more like a pun. I could do that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beer pong. Okay. Next, they suggest the men's Wild West bartender. I think this is a really cool costume.
Right, for the flagrantly gay. It does seem to be a little overboard.
That's awesome. That's not flamboyant.
Explain the holsters. I don't get that.
Rich, can we get a tiebreaker on this?
Yeah, I think that's a nice classic costume until you get down to the holsters.
Yes, I agree.
All right, the holsters are overkill.
Right.
Yeah.
I will give you that the holsters are overkill.
Okay.
Yes. Macy says the back must be open. Good call.
Yeah, absolutely.
The back must be open.
Oh, guys, this is my favorite one right here, the Frank the Tank beer belly. They did steal Frank the Tank from the old beer, or was that Old School, from Old School. But this is a really classy costume right here.
Giant teeth.
All right, Frank the Tank here is carrying around some tall boys. If you're Frank the Tank, what tall boys are you carrying?
I'm definitely going to rock Miller Lite.
I'm going with Schlitz.
Going with Schlitz?
Yes.
No, not White Boy. Not White Boy. He's gonna rock the Miller Lite. He may rock. He could do. Bud Light's probably more accurate.
Well, this is more of a good old Tennessee boy.
What were you thinking, Rich?
Is this a good old Tennessee boy, or is this a local yokel?
That's a good question. He looked kind of hill country. I'm
a little bit.
Tennessee.
All right, next.
All right, so next we have the breathalyzer, which I think is
brilliant.
Classic. This guy,
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? He's even making that.
This is what Steve Jobs would have looked like dressed as a breathalyzer. Nerd joke.
The next we have Filler Up.
That's why you guys keep me around, right?
And
right.
Exactly, for brilliant comments like that. Have we heard from Faulkner lately?
Until this thing scrolled back and I could see the old video feed here, it really looked like that beer or breathalyzer guy was a lot like Faulkner's favorite taco costume.
Yes, that looks an awful lot like that.
Yeah.
And actually, Filler Up looks like the main character of a Kevin James movie. I don't know if you're getting that vibe.
I am, because it's not funny.
Yeah, there's a reason it's on clearance. I don't know if you caught that little clearance tab right there.
Point.
No, I really like what's coming up next. This is the old Milwaukee dress.
That's nice. I mean, for those of us who've been married for a while, I guess that would be more like a new Milwaukee.
The same old Milwaukee, night after night. That's code.
The same old Milwaukee.
And I love the very first line of the description. Why pretend you have class? The old Milwaukee dress is, at the very least, non-pretentious. Oh gosh, Sam Adams.
I like that one. I like that one. It's kind of like the captain, where you put your knee on everything and you dress up like a pirate.
All right.
Very similar to
I'll
that.
give you that.
You can wear it for 4th of July
seeing these for the first time, by the way, so you're getting just straight reactions.
Wait, didn't you send this to me?
All right, the beer, that's a couple's costume, and I'm not really sure I like what's going on here.
I don't do couple's costumes.
This is kind of freaking me out. The sports beer vendor.
The best way to do a couple's costume is to do like a Raggedy Ann and Andy. And then you say, oh yeah, you show up as Raggedy Ann, and I'll show up as Raggedy Andy, and then you show up as a good costume,
and then not go to the party.
Right. And then they're just flying.
Kyle, do you still have a?
Is this supposed to be? All right.
Do you still have a picture of you as Duffman?
Vendor, and I'm looking at the National Enquirer Party Girl. Is this one of their costume ideas? I don't understand it. No, whatever.
Yeah,
I hope you know those. I thought they were kind of cool. Yeah, we're getting.
I like that guy who's a transformer.
Yeah, we're getting into some weird
boxes.
Yeah, there's definitely more than meets the eye here at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and cook this up for a little bit.
Finish your beer.
And yeah, I'm going to finish my beer, and then I think it's time to try the.
Uh-oh.
Chris says the only time he mixes beer with the National Enquirer is in the grocery store checkout. And he also says there's nothing old about her, which I will have to agree with.
I agree, man.
Okay, so we tried the Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
The smells an awfully
about
lot
that a little
like
bit.
the Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Maybe it's because I poured it in the same
Yeah,
glass.
it might be because you poured it in the same glass. Because
No,
I
it's
think
actually
it
much
smells a
more
little bit. I think it smells a little sweeter.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and so already right off the bat, this is smelling a little sweeter. And we did mention that the Sam Adams had a little bit more of a backbone. It was a little bit more hoppy.
This, you get that more traditional bready Oktoberfest aroma. You know,
Yeah,
you
there's
smell
definitely some melanoid in this.
yeah, it smells like you're tasting liquid bread.
That's one of my favorite thing about Oktoberfest beers is that melanoid. We always talk about that as being like a baking bread.
Right.
And I really enjoy that about Oktoberfest beers.
Yeah, and I think they did the best job they've done on this beer.
This is really good.
One of the knocks,
really good.
one of the knocks on Raw is that it's like they're German style inspired brewery in most cases, and they just don't seem to always knock the German styles out of the park. Like you would, it's just one of those an unfair expectation.
And they're never, and I think that's it. Is that you have unfair expectations because I've never had a raw beer that I would say was bad
or out of style completely.
Right, but when you specialize in German styles and you're making German beers, you expect it to be, like you said, knocked out of the park. And raw sometimes, I wouldn't say they whiff, but
yeah, it's just not. But again. They're a popular brewery. They're very popular. They're doing really well. They're working around the clock these days. And to do that, you have to have a couple of different business plans in the brewing world. And they make beers that a lot of people really like to drink. It may not nail the style for the plebes out there who just drink whatever they want to drink. This is damn tasty, and they're going to really like it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to even say that this isn't going to score high as an Oktoberfest.
I would guess that this would score very high as an Oktoberfest.
It's a nice.
I don't have the style guidelines in front of me, but I would guess. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Raw makes drinkable beer.
Mm-hmm.
Fritz Raw makes
drinkable
beer.
That's kind of underplaying it.
Buddies and drink.
I prefer drinkable beers rather than like ice cubes are much more difficult to digest, although possible. And in
freeze dried beer, that's no good.
Right. In college, I had beer that was turned into Jello,
nice.
And it was awful. Yeah, it was more like applesauce. Not really.
Everclear turned into Jello?
No, it was applesaucey beer, and I nearly vomited when I ate it.
Nice.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
I agree, Richard, 100% with your Transformers voice.
Excellent input as always, Rich. Thanks for being here for us. Guys, we crapped our brew today.
We did. It was a lot of fun, though. We didn't crap our brew day.
I crapped our brew.
We didn't crap our brew day per se. We crapped cleaning up after.
Yeah, actually, the brew day was surprisingly smooth. So we should have known something was in the works.
Yeah, we're like, oh, now we're just going to clean up. We also racked 20 gallons of beer into kegs.
It was a busy day,
and they were all very tasty. So it was like, it was bound to have something go wrong.
Yeah, something had to go wrong.
What did go wrong?
And it did. Well, you see, I've never been accused of being terribly graceful. I dropped stuff. It happened.
Yeah.
And I dropped our pump. It's not what you would call a cheap piece of equipment. And what the pump has on the top of it are these two...
I'm holding the other piece.
Yeah, they've got an inflow and an outflow tube. There's one. You've got this little head mounted on the top of it, and it's what is this, PVC maybe or?
No, that's a food grade plastic, and that's why you use a March pump.
Okay.
And although there is another brand of pump that makes everything out of stainless, which is what we're going to be replacing the head with now.
Yeah. So then next time I drop it, I don't break it
as much.
So. I don't think we bring this up for any reason other than to make fun of me for dropping.
No, and that's pretty cool, but what I was going to say is, like, you hand me that, and while we're sitting here talking, I'm going to go ahead and replace the head on
So the lesson here is don't be Bono.
Is that we don't have to replace the entire pump. These pumps are specially designed for idiots like me.
And they're designed where you can actually swap this head and move the input one direction and the outflow the other direction.
Just as Henry Ford introduced to us the idea of replaceable parts. That was Henry Ford, right?
I think it was Albert David Thoreau.
Albert David Thoreau? Okay.
Yeah.
Just as Albert David Thoreau introduced to us the idea of replaceable parts, the pump manufacturers have continued Mr. Thoreau's tradition.
Science.
And we were able to order a stainless steel head so that I can't break it anymore.
And that's that stainless steel head over there, if you want to show everybody what it is while I'm screwing with this. Pun totally intended.
Pun intended. That was awesome. Okay, guys, this is the exact same head that came off of the old pump. You can see it's stainless steel. You want to try to break that for us, real quick?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So we're just gonna swap the old one off, swap the old one in.
Do you want? We might as well replace it backwards because we had it like this before, and it was always the wrong direction. We had to spin it.
That's right.
Let's take that head the other way, and that's why they make these so easy to take on or take off and put back on. Is because sometimes people mount these pumps in a certain direction and they want the inflow to match, and they don't want to run hoses or cables or anything else all the way around to the other side. So that is going to solve some other problems for us, and we should have just done that several years ago.
I should have broken this thing years ago.
Yeah,
is
would have been much better if we spent that money
Good
long ago.
So let's talk a little bit about the iron mash. I'm sorry, Rich, did you have something to add?
No, I was just giving you props for
Let's talk a little bit about the Iron Mash, because the Iron Mash was Sunday, and we've told you about this event before. It's a really cool event. It's one of our favorites. Just a quick breakdown. It's various teams show up
Switched.
with nothing but a nice job, man. You could work in a pit. You can pit crew
I could be in a pit crew.
for pumps. A pit crew for pumps.
I would have to wear that costume with the guy with the fake teeth, though, right?
Oh, okay, cool. So.
Just so that's clear.
So, we have several teams. This year we have, 26 teams. And
26.
each one shows up with just its brew equipment and
a lot of trucks
and a lot of trucks.
that they leave in the way.
And they receive a box of ingredients, and they're asked to make beer using all of these ingredients. Some of these ingredients are grains, hops, the stuff you typically find in beer. Some of them are not things you typically find in beer, and that is where I would like to lead this discussion tonight, because I've been dying to talk about this for a long time, because we were really excited about this year's ingredients. So Kyle, let's run down the ingredients. We've only got a few minutes left, but I think we've got time. Let's run down the ingredients.
Sure.
Let's talk about why we picked them.
Okay.
And let's talk about what you or I would do with these ingredients.
The ingredients that we have now what he's talking about, these specialty ingredients, and
Things
what
that
we
don't
do,
typically belong in beer.
or things that they may belong in beer, but not necessarily in the style that you have the grains to brew.
Yeah, exactly.
So one thing we did was give everybody certain ingredients like this, and they had to use all of one of these ingredients. In this
One
case,
of them had to be used in its entirety.
You can
and
use as much of the other
really comes into play in one of these ingredients specifically.
several of them, though, because we gave a lot of ingredients this year.
So let's go with the ingredients. What do we give them? You go first.
The first thing, in the order that we presented it to everybody, was plantains.
Plantains. This one was one of my ideas. We've been talking about making a plantain beer for a really
better part of
long
a decade.
time. Yeah. Plantains, for those of you that are not familiar with them, similar to bananas, starchier, heavier, not as sweet. They definitely don't taste like bananas.
Right.
They look very similar, though, and I imagine that they're closely related on the evolutionary chain.
Right.
So, Kyle, what would you do, given some plantains, put in your beer?
The thing that I can think of to do, almost the only thing I can think of, is to prepare plantains in the traditional Cuban way, which is to fry them.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought you were being a jerk.
No, I was actually...
I'm impressed.
I was actually going along the right way.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought you were making fun. If it's me, and we talk a lot about brewing, we talk a lot about extracting sugars. Because unlike making wine or cider, when you're making a beer, sugars aren't always readily available. They're not always right there. And I think with plantains, we gave them all green plantains.
Yeah.
I would have said I definitely would have fried them.
Yep.
But I think we should have taken them home and let them ripen.
Ripen, yep.
Fry them and then put them in the secondary.
And by ripen with plantains, he means the outside of that plantain should be black.
Or close to it.
Right. I mean, you're not like with a banana. By the time it's black, you're going, oh, it's oversweet and it's not.
Yeah.
Very good.
When plantains are black, that's when they're
That's
at
when
their
they're
best.
good.
Yeah. So next we gave them cumin.
Another Cuban ingredient. We went down to
yeah, we really did actually. One of the guys, one of the teams had a Mexican guy, and he was like, "Let me guess which two ingredients you picked." So, Kyle and I were on the host committee, by the way.
Yeah, we helped. We helped
that
run it this year, so
Yeah.
we picked some of these ingredients, and so we were near and dear to our hearts, and we've been talking about these for a year or so.
So we gave them a lot of cumin. I mean, a whole lot.
Too much.
And
But with something like that, I mean, cumin, we gave them whole cumin, not ground cumin, and we gave them 3 ounces apiece.
Macy suggests you pasteurize by frying on the plantains, and yes, that's exactly what I would do is pasteurize. By
and then
frying.
we would put them in the secondary, most likely. Or actually, I'd probably go with most of it in the primary, because you want to rack it off all that pulp and see if you can let it clear up, because it's going to be like a sludgy beer.
Yeah, it is going to be sludgy. You have to make something dark or something that's supposed to be.
And we did not give a whole lot of yeast styles.
No,
so
we didn't.
There wasn't a Hefeweizen yeast.
I was just going to say we didn't give them ingredients to make Hefeweizen, because that would be ideal. Would be to make a.
And the same thing goes with the other ingredients, which was elderflower.
Elderflower.
We did not give them any Belgian yeast. So elderflower is a great addition to every Belgian beer, but we didn't give them a Belgian yeast.
So the cumin,
yep.
a whole lot of cumin. If it's me, and one of the teams actually did this, I was really impressed. They recognized how much cumin we gave them, and they tossed it in at flame out. We talk a lot about flame out. You boil your wort for 30 minutes, an hour and a half, however long based on style. And right when you turn that flame off, they throw in the cumin. And I think that limits your contact time, and because cumin is so pungent,
right,
you're still going to get it.
And what I would have done was that, but I would have also taken away half to even 2/3 of it and put it in my mash.
Yeah, I could see doing that in the mash.
You're going to get more flavor profile through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that probably we would go with your idea. I think.
Yeah. And
nice,
so,
like
what I was thinking, and when I saw the ingredients that we ended up with, thing that stuck in my head, and actually I talked to somebody after the event, and they said, "Oh, we thought of that, but we didn't do it because we thought everybody else would do it." I'm like, whatever. A cumin IPA. You make a cumin pale ale of some sort.
Somebody did that.
It's possible, but I know it wasn't a whole lot of people doing that.
Right.
But I didn't ask a whole lot. I'm trying not to know.
Yeah, somebody made an IPA. I think it was with cumin.
And that makes sense because it's a spicy, like floral, just like a hop.
You did bring up the elderflower. Well, let's talk about the elderflower, because to me, this was the most difficult ingredient to use with the grains that with the grains and the yeast that they were given.
Exactly.
So given elderflower, where do you go with that? Well, first talk a little bit about the flavor profile of elderflower, because I bet a lot of people in our audience have never heard it. I hadn't before we did this.
Elderflower is just like almost rose petal-ish. It's a very light and fragrant type flavor. It's a flower, so it's something that fits well into a tea. Very velvety. It fits well with sweet beers, and it fits well with beers that are very attenuated, like Belgian beers, which tend to get very high flocculation and be well attenuated. It accents that really well.
All right, so tone it down just a little bit. When you say highly attenuated, you mean?
I mean that the yeast eats up more of the sugars and leaves a beer that doesn't have as much of a malt backbone. So an Oktoberfest, although well attenuated, is going to have a huge malt backbone.
Right.
So some of these other well attenuated beers will lose some of that malt backbone and it'll be more dry.
Absolutely.
And that sweet floral flavor fits well with a really dry beer.
So how are you going to work the flavor of elderflower into your beer? You've got elderflower. What are you going to do with it? When are you going to put it in?
To me, again, it's very similar to the cumin. I would use some of it, except I would probably end up putting some of it in the secondary. I would go near flame out 5 minutes or so, get some of that pungency of that aroma and some of that of the flavor into the beer, but you're not going to need a whole lot of contact time with that boiling hot liquid to get a lot of flavors and a lot of that aroma released. So I would do probably at 5 or 10 minutes, put the majority of that in, and save back about a half an ounce. And then that half an ounce, I would end up putting back into the secondary and then racking off the secondary.
If we had been competing this year, I think that this one might have been hotly debated, because I think that this would have been, when we do an iron mash, our strategy is to go with the ingredient that we think nobody's going to be using.
Right.
And I think I would have argued for elderflower, and I would have argued for a very strong beer, IPA, porter. Of course, we didn't have ingredients.
We didn't have ingredients for porter, although some people did.
We had enough ingredients to make an APA, which I think would have sufficed, and I make an extract out of the elderflower.
Okay.
And dump it into the secondary.
So you're talking extract like a tea, make
like a tea.
Oh,
yeah, that elderflower punch you in the face
Oh, yeah,
when
it
you
would.
drink it. I mean, it would be huge. So the last ingredient they were giving was tamarind.
Tamarind, which is
another just. I mean, this one came
off
out
the
of the
wall.
mind of Bradley, right?
I think so.
was
Yeah. It was
Stubby came up with one of these, and Bradley came up
I
with.
think elderflower was Stubby's.
Either way, tamarind was a genius move. This is a pulpy spice. I don't even know
it's
how.
Thai. It's Thai in origin, so a lot of if you eat a lot
That's
of
one
Thai
of those
food,
that
you'll
Fritz had
recognize
said he
the
wanted to
flavor.
brew
Yeah,
with.
absolutely.
Did you guys hear that?
What's that, Rich?
Said that was one of those that Fritz Rahr had said he wanted to brew with when we interviewed him last year. That was his choice ingredient.
He did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I forgot about.
So I remember looking up, going,
Rich.
"What the f is tamarind?" So there you go.
Yeah.
Steve, you weren't the only one that got suckered in by the tamarind. A number of teams use the tamarind.
It was probably the most used ingredient. I don't know for sure, but from what I saw of the husks around,
I saw a number of them. One team, and I think that these guys might be clinically insane. One team used all of every ingredient. And I explained to them multiple times that they did not have to do that, and they were just so excited about all these ingredients.
They loved it.
Decided to use them all.
Well, and Stubby made that mistake in one year when he actually made a fantastic tasting beer, except the problem with this, think about these ingredients we've given you. An elderflower, which is kind of a light floral tasting deal. And then you've got cumin, which is like big in your face spiciness. Well, when you do something like that and you try to combine those two, well, it's just like bringing in the Cuban and the white guy. You're going to hear the Cuban guy. You're not going to hear the white guy. So basically, that's the problem you have when using too many.
Is that your subtle way of telling me that I'm too loud? Is that what's going on here?
So no. I mean,
But
you're
no,
Puerto Rican.
I would never say that, but you definitely need to shut up.
No, actually, it's a lot more like talking with a Puerto Rican guy. You know he's going to get a lot more words in before you do.
You can't say stuff like that. I can.
On television.
Puerto Rican guy and a black guy in college.
Dude, listening to Ricky Martin does not make you friends with a Puerto Rican.
But no, the thing about these different ingredients, and we try to pick them for a reason, is that they accentuate in different ways, and they go from way different angles.
And I think that we've always had a lot of fun attending this event. We really have.
Yeah.
Because you see the different rigs that people are doing. You see what I think I had more fun running this event than I had attending it because just looking through the registration sheets and seeing the creativity involved. Because, Kyle and I get together and we brew a beer and we put our own brand of creativity into this beer. But
it's limited to the same old for us.
We don't know what everybody else is doing.
Right.
I'm just like flipping through these registration sheets, talking to the different teams. There is a lot of talent in our club, a lot, and it's not limited to the guys that you immediately think of, Steve and Vicky, to James and Nick and Stubby. Those
Johnson and John.
Those teams know what they're doing, and you expect them to. But when you start going to these other, these guys that you never see, the guys you never talk to, and the things that they're trying, it's so cool.
Yeah, and it's amazing every year. And one thing we did, we switched Iron Mash from what was traditionally a summertime deal, and that was kind of how it originated. But then it got to where it was so big and so many people
whined,
people bitched. And it was all right, though. I mean, I think it's a really strong change for the actual competition itself. Because we did this for, 2-3 years? 3 years prior to helping run it. So we had done it several times, and the quality of the actual end product last year when we switched to a late, early fall, basically, an October date, away from the July, August dates, it was phenomenally better. Across the board, every beer was way better. I had one beer last year out of 25 that I was like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Why would they bring that?
I might have had that same one.
And everything else, I mean, albeit some were better than others, and the level of the actual flavor and how well they did with the ingredient, that varied. But the beer itself was good. There was a lot of really good beers. Just then you try one of the other ones and you go, wow, that was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's...
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that.
Finish your thought.
To me, that's something that has drastically improved by switching that date to a later date.
Yeah, I think people are less focused with getting out of there and more focused with making a good beer. So, Kyle, what did we learn tonight?
Well, we learned that I prefer the raw Oktoberfest over the Sam.
I learned the same thing. We learned that Bono's clumsy.
Right.
Wait, we didn't really learn. We already knew that.
We knew that. And we learned that Kyle can fix a pump head.
Kyle can
on
fix
air.
a pump head in no time flat. We learned that Iron Mash is awesome. Another thing that we didn't really have to learn. So, on behalf of everybody here at Dogleg Brewery, we thank you for tuning in. We hope you turn in a couple weeks when we will talk to you about beer. So until then, you want to talk about beer? Nice. All right, well, we will see you all then. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Internet.
Oh, God, that is awful.